In this video, we will continue to deal with the capabilities of the Sampo strategic counter. Last time we stopped at the memory blocks in which the algorithms for dividing protracted bets are written. By default, the first memory block is activated, which already has a complex algorithm for dividing protracted bets. But you can always abandon the tactics of protracted bets by choosing an empty memory block. Such a risky version of the game is also possible. This can be useful for supporters of excitement. At the same time, the system will warn you about the increased risks. But even in this mode, a kind of safety algorithm is prescribed in the system in case the protracted 6-line bet does not work even on the last move. If this happens, then, regardless of your settings, the accumulated loss will be divided into 3 parts, of which 1/3 of the loss will be compensated by opening a new 6-line bet, and the remaining 2 parts of the loss will be recorded in memory. Moreover, this will happen even if you have selected the mode without recording the game. When the bet covering the first third of the loss is triggered, the bet covering the second third of the loss will automatically open. Moreover, it will open in the area of the playing field, the numbers of which did not fall out the longest at the moment. After the second bet is triggered, the third one will open, compensating for the third part of the loss. If one of these 3 bets fails again on the last move, it will also be divided into 3 parts. And so it will continue until all the bets work. Such a safety mechanism makes the Sampo strategy invincible even without the separation of protracted bets at an early stage. But provided that you have a sufficient stock of game balance. This mechanism works only for 6-line bets. If one of the open bets corner or street does not work on the last move, then the counter will roll back a few moves. This will result in some loss, but a significant part of the losses will be compensated when the bet works. Thanks to the rollback, several additional moves will appear. For corner bets, the rollback will be 12 moves, and for street bets, 15 moves from the last move number. In the Sampo counter, the number of the last move is determined by the established limit on the maximum bet size. In order to completely avoid losses for corner and street bets, it is necessary to apply various methods of dividing protracted bets. More about this will be described in the next lesson. In addition to the 3 memory blocks for recording the algorithm for dividing bets, there are 3 more memory blocks for recording the history of the game. Moreover, regardless of whether you enter the numbers manually or start testing the strategy, everything will be recorded in the selected memory block. Only with each new test run in the same memory block, the previous recorded history will be deleted. By default, game recording is not activated. This way the application consumes less resources and works the fastest. In this mode, the button to return to the previous move is not active. Let's turn on the game recording by selecting the first memory block. The return button will still be inactive until we make at least one move. Now, if you click on the return button, the last move will be deleted. This will help to correct the error if you entered the wrong number. You can also navigate through the history of events that occurred during the game. There are 2 ways to do this. If you click on the move numbering field, a window will appear to enter the required move number. If you need to move within the 9 moves that are visible on the scoreboard, then just click on the number you need, and you will get to the corresponding move number. In addition to correcting incorrectly entered numbers, this can be useful for a detailed analysis of your strategy. If you try to change the number you entered earlier, or change the value of the coefficient or balance, the system will warn you that the entire subsequent history of the game will be changed. At any time, you can turn off the recording of the game or select another memory block for recording. Then you will be prompted to save the current session. If you want to continue the previously recorded game, then you need to activate the corresponding memory block again. At the same time, you will first be asked to clear the selected memory block from the history recorded in it. If you refuse to delete the history, then all open bets corresponding to the last move in the recorded game will appear on the playing field. You can move through the history again or continue the game from any selected location. It is worth noting that when recording is enabled, the speed of the application can significantly decrease. It will depend on the performance of your computer. The most noticeable decrease in speed will be during testing. In order to reduce the CPU load during the recording of the game, we can activate the recording confirmation mode. In this mode, the CPU load is minimal. But moving through the history will not be possible until we disable the recording confirmation mode and save the game history. Now we can navigate through the recorded game session history again. The ability to record the game is especially useful when creating your own betting divide strategy. When you test your new strategy, you will need to save exactly the version of the game where the result will be the most profitable. Then you can adjust the ways of dividing the bids and start testing again. But only you will need to choose not a random number generator, but a recorded game. Then, during testing, the numbers will appear in the same order as during the recorded game session in which you had a loss. At the same time, you can record the result of such testing in another memory block. This way you will keep the original history of the unsuccessful game, and a new history will be recorded with a modified algorithm for dividing bets. You can leave the same memory block for recording, from which the numbers for testing are taken. The old history will remain in it until you save the changes. And you will be asked to save the changes only when you change the memory block or disable the recording mode. It remains for us to consider one more detail related to the system memory. Regardless of whether you have the game recording mode activated or not, the number of moves is always limited. This is not about the number of moves themselves, but about limiting the counter of moves.
If you make 16,000 moves, then the next move will be number 1001.
This means that when the game recording mode is activated, 15,000 moves will be erased from history, but the history of the last 1,000 moves will be preserved. Again, all these changes will finally take effect only after they are saved when changing the memory block or turning off the recording. Now, knowing all the nuances associated with recording a game session and recording bet divide algorithms, you can start learning the very process of creating your own bet divide algorithm.
But this will be discussed next time. And this concludes our lesson.